Hey everybody, welcome to Buzzer Beater Sports. My name is Joe. Welcome to the channel. It's the first one. I want to build this thing up. We're gonna talk everything sports, guys. We're gonna do reviews, previews, after competition talk, news and notes, sprinkle some bets in there for those of you who like to throw some shekels down on some competition. Maybe one or two bets when I do this. I know it's a little late, but today I'm going to start with a UFC review. The Strickland versus Nassourdine Imavov. I know it's a little late. Had some things going on. I wanted to post a video last week, but had life happen and I was watching my Niners, so let's hope they beat the Eagles. So I'm just going to go over a couple fights, 3 prelims and 3 from the main card that I enjoyed watching, and some things that stood out. First one is a prelim fight at flyweight. We have Charles Johnson versus Jimmy Flick. Charles Johnson is now 13-3. Flick is now 16-6, just 1-1 in the UFC. Charles Johnson 2-1 in the UFC. Last fight, Charles Johnson defeated Zhalgas Zhumagulov by decision. Jimmy Flick lost to Cody Durden, by sub, and that was in 2020, so he had a bit of a layoff. Charles Johnson won via TKO round 1, looked really good, strong start, strong finish. Flick just couldn't handle the forward pressure. CJ was starting with leg kicks from distance, worked his way in, stalking down Flick, hits a nice body shot. Flick got a nice takedown to swarm him off, but Johnson quickly, nicely reversed it. He just started to relentlessly ground and pound. Ref stopped it with 30 seconds left in the round. Early stoppage, probably not. It was well deserved. He was, Flick was covering up, just wasn't responding to shots. He had a nasty elbow cut, and CJ takes it. He had 44 significant strikes, 20 to the head and 10 to the body. Next one we have is at flyweight as well. We have Allan Nascimento from Brazil, a little student of Shoot the Box for Charles Oliveira. He's 2-1 in the UFC now, goes to 20-6. He defeated Carlos Hernandez, who is now 8-2 and 1-1 in the UFC. Nascimento last defeated Jake Hadley by decision. Carlos Hernandez defeated Victor Altamirano by split decision. Nascimento wins via round 1 submission, rear naked choke. Dude's nasty. Obviously, like I said, Shoot the Box. He was working one submission, couldn't get it on the back of Altamirano when he was standing, and I switched to the rear naked choke, and it was, like I said, it was nasty. Total domination. He's got good English, so he's pretty marketable. They want to try to push him a little bit. He's a BJJ black belt. He now has 15 wins by sub, so he's dope. Bantamweight, we got Javid the Snow Leopard Basharat from Afghanistan and England. He's now 14-0, 3-0 in the UFC. He defeated Mateus Mendonca from Brazil, another student of Shoot the Box. So they were both undefeated. Someone's had to go, and that was Mendonca from Brazil. Basharat won by unanimous decision, 30-27 for 2 judges, 29-28 for 1. Basharat's coming off a decision defeat of Tony Gravely, really good win. And Mendonca defeated Ashik Azim by KO in the first round, 48 seconds in. So he was really good before this fight. Obviously, he still is. Bright future for him, for sure. He came out strong, pressuring up against the fence. He looks fast, but, Basharat just backed out through some jabs. Mendonca was missing some head kicks by inches. He's very acrobatic. He was crazy. He was this close to hitting. He ends up getting cracked by a left from Basharat. He was pulling him in to throw the 1-2 and connecting all fight. Basharat was really good with that. He then started to take control in the 3rd round. Mendonca was exhausted, but just kept pushing through for takedowns. Basharat had 125 total strikes, 62 to the head, and he had 3 takedowns. Mendonca has a bright future. Shoot the Box student, like I said. He's going to be really good. That was his first loss again. And Basharat calls out Chris Gutierrez. I like that call out. That should be a good card. A good fight. All right, we're going to go to the main card. We got 3 fights now. First one is bantamweight. We have Mr. Nurmagomedov, Umar. Part of the Dagestani dynasty out there. He's now 16-0, 4-0 in the UFC. And he faced a little vet in Raoni Barcelos from Brazil, who's now 17-4 and 6-3 in the UFC. So he had some fights in the UFC. He's a vet. Umar defeated Nate Maness by decision last fight. That's a good win. Barcelos defeated Trevin Jones by decision. It's also a good win. So Umar wins by KO, TKO round 1. It was a kind of a crazy win. He had a beautiful combo for the knockout, but he unintentionally missed a flying knee and followed it by an immediate left hook that put Barcelos out cold midair, and he followed that with one hammer fist and then stopped. He realized Barcelos was out, and he was cool about it. He just backed off. It's his 5th first-round finish. And, the whole fight, he was creating range, so Barcelos would come in fast with power punches and create an opening for Nurmagomedov, and that's how it happened. Fight started a little slow. They're both feeling each other out, timing jabs and kicks. And it was the main card opener, which, started with a big name versus a vet. Really good opener. It was big. Nurmagomedov was the biggest favorite of the card at -800, which was insane. Reffing was Jason Herzog, so, I like him. He's really good. No baloney. Knows what he's doing. No drama ever. And Nurmagomedov continues the Dagestan dynasty. Featherweight, Dan 50K Ige, who's now 16-6. He's 8-5 in the UFC. He's a vet. He last lost to Movsar by unanimous decision. And he faced Damon Jackson, who's now 22-5-1, 5-3-1 with 1 draw and 1 no contest in the UFC. He last defeated Pat Sabatini, round 1 KO. That was an emotional win. He had just lost his brother, so that was really cool to see. But Danny Ige took this one via TKO, round 2. It was a really good fight. It was the co-main, so you expect some violence and action. Ige's a vet. Damon Jackson had some Bellator fights, LFC, UFC, went to LFA, PFL, and then back to UFC for the last 2 years, so he's been all over the place. Ige's coming off 3 tough decision losses to big names. He lost to Sung, Josh Emmett, and Imavov last fight. He came out swinging Jackson, but Ige dropped him in the pocket. He was going to the body early, controlling the octagon, looking for big hooks because of the height difference, because Ige's a little shorter than Jackson. He's a lengthy guy, Damon Jackson. And this came into play in round 2 when he was changing levels and got clocked clean, but recovered. Dan Ige did. I'm a short guy too. It happens. Tall guys, it's tough. Fight stopped at 2 minutes in round 1 by Jason Herzog again, reffing, due to an eye cut on Damon Jackson. Could have been from an Ige uppercut, I believe it was. Ige wobbled Jackson with 13 seconds left and got a nice takedown to end round 1 just to seal that round for him. Round 2, you could see Ige wants to keep the fight in the center of the octagon. Damon Jackson was kind of not having it. Ige then perfectly times a beautiful combo where he takes a back step, fakes a right, then throws a clean left hook for the KO victory. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Next for Ige, top 15, maybe Topuria. Who knows? That might be a good fight. I don't know what they're doing with him. And then last one, we got light heavyweight, the main event. Sean Strickland versus Nassourdine Imavov from France. Sean Strickland is now 26-5, 13-5 in the UFC. Imavov is 12-4, 4-2 in the UFC. Sean Strickland last lost to Cannonier, split decision. It was that main event right at the end of the year. And Imavov defeated Joaquin Buckley by unanimous decision. That one where he was just like dogging him down, walking him down the whole time, staring at him. Buzzer blew, and he was still wanting to fight. It was crazy. He was a mad dog. Strickland won the unanimous decision. He schooled him. It was back-to-back main events for him. He closed out 22 and then opened up 23, which was pretty cool. So he comes back strong with a nice win. It was a first 5-rounder for Imavov, and it showed as the fight went on. He was just getting exhausted. He was getting so tired. But, he kept going. He kept fighting. He was in it the whole time. Sean Strickland did the zombie walk down right away, didn't let up. He just kept throwing punches. That's what he does. Imavov threw an overhand right that almost connected. Strickland threw a counter left, then a right that hurt Imavov. Now he's pressuring and throwing some bombs. Imavov's dodging some of them, They're both throwing some heavy punches. Imavov being affected more, definitely, just because of Strickland's a He-Man, caveman, whatever you want to call him. Round 2, Sean Strickland starts putting pressure up against the cage. Throws a nice 3-piece where he lands a right-left, ducks, comes back with an over right hand. It was really nice. At 230, mixes up nicely and gets a takedown. Imavov gets right back up there and throws some counter combos. So he's kind of starting to time Strickland's 1-2. Round 3, Strickland starts to incorporate leg kicks to set up the 1-2 straight to the gut. Both throwing heavy hands, but Strickland's experience is an advantage for sure. Slow, controlled breathing, while Imavov is slowing down physically. That's just what Strickland does to you. Except he's a zombie caveman, just walks you down. That's what he does. Round 4, this is where Strickland starts to really conserve his energy. He's pushing Imavov up against the fence. He's grappling. He's doing some dirty boxing. He's trying to take control of a little, conserve energy for the 5th round. Imavov continues to throw more output and is visually gassing out. Like he was literally getting so exhausted, you could see it. Mouth breathing, definitely. Round 5, Strickland goes back to zombie mode, starts firing shots, while Imavov switched to elbows because of the close distance and pressure coming from Strickland. So he was kind of changing up his game. Was kind of working a little bit. The final minute 30, both guys were just swinging as usual in Strickland fights and just goes crazy. Typically, he's throwing more than his opponent, and he was throwing more than Imavov. Final bell sounds. Strickland says something to the judges. He walked right over to him and pretty much said that they suck, because we all know that they do. That's got to change. But they gave him 49-46, 2 of them. One of them was 48-47. He got a unanimous decision, and he really looked great the whole fight. Like I said, he came out strong. First 3 rounds, he was controlling the octagon, controlling the pace. 4th round, he was conserving his energy, and then that 5th round, he just came back and finished absolutely strong, like Sean Strickland does. He threw 194 total strikes, and 134 went to the head. So that tells you how that fight went. And I'd say Costa next, Paulo Costa. If Paulo Costa is still going to fight in the UFC, I think that would be a tremendous fight. So, guys, everybody, whoever watched, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Let's like and subscribe. Let's build this channel up. Let's get out of this room that we're doing this in. Let's get into a real studio. And let's talk some stuff, man. Let's talk some sports. Buzzer Beater Sports. Hope to see you on the next one. Thanks.